right. All yours, Susan. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's really nice to see everyone. I see a few Dharma friends from different places, from the retreat we just did this weekend. And also, I am part of a Saturday Sangha, and seeing some people from the Saturday Sangha, which is also really nice. And I'm really glad you're here today. So, we just completed a retreat up at Big Bear Retreat Center entitled Cultivating Kindness, a Mindfulness and Self-Compassion Journey Through Practice, Writing, and Movement. And it was a retreat for women who are wanting to become more self-compassionate in their lives, and use it as a window into their own journey of healing. And compassion was the theme of this long weekend. And as the title says, we explored it in a variety of ways through our relationship to the breath, the body, thoughts, particularly the inner critic, our feelings, and our relationships. And I was really fortunate. I had two wonderful co-collaborators, Leslie Hyatt, who is deeply devoted to the Dharma, and a very talented writing teacher who does a beautiful job integrating mindfulness and writing, and also Christine Suarez, who is a community dance artist and dance educator, whom I've been working with for many years, actually since I think like 2012, 2011, at the VA. We actually run a dance movement group for veterans who are in a residential treatment program for substance abuse and homelessness. Um, and I am not representing the VA here at Lunchtime Mindfulness, but as a practitioner and a trained mindful self-compassion teacher. And I've been teaching mindful self-compassion at the VA for about 4.5 years. Um, and I think I'm going to start by doing a little grounding practice so we can settle ourselves and bring ourselves to the present moment. So, just getting into a comfortable position, if you will, one that allows some energy to be present in the body, allowing yourself to kind of maintain an upright position or lie down, whatever's right for you, but a position that supports some relaxation, but also a little energy. And beginning by taking in a breath. And if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, please do so, or softening your gaze. And once again, just beginning by bringing in a gentle breath into this present moment. Okay. And now bringing awareness to the bottoms of your feet and noticing them touching the ground, if they're touching the ground, or noticing them in space, if they're in space, and bringing awareness to the sensations in your feet, any kind of tingling, any burning, numbness, or no sensations at all. And your mind will likely wander, because our minds do. So just gently and kindly bringing awareness just to your feet and the sensations there. Maybe your feet are warm, maybe they're cold. Maybe you feel them encased in your shoe or sock, or maybe you're barefoot. No need to change anything, just bringing awareness to this present moment in the sensations in your feet. And now moving awareness from the feet to the upper legs and your seat region as you sit on a cushion or a chair. and just noticing the points of contact against the chair or cushion. Perhaps there is a little pressure on the sit bones or the upper legs. Perhaps you feel your lower back touching the back of the chair, feeling into the pull of gravity into your chair or cushion, and noticing how the chair just supports your weight in a comfortable way, hopefully allowing you to sit comfortably. And if there is a little bit of pain or discomfort sitting, just sending a little compassion to whatever area of your body feels that. And now letting go of awareness in your seat area and moving it to your chest. And once again, noticing the breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Noticing where you feel the breath and the sensations of breathing. And perhaps just getting a felt sense of the entire body in this moment and welcoming it into this space. Perhaps sending yourself a little gratitude for making this time right now at lunchtime, noontime, to bring some awareness to your inner experience and bring a little compassion to yourself. And when you're ready, you can gently open up the eyes. Okay. So, I do want to speak a little bit more about the Mindful Self-Compassion program. Some of you may know about it, some of you may not. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I came into this world, which has been really a blessing in my life. So I was really lucky enough to come upon mindful self-compassion through my work at the VA, which is, I think, funny in a sense. But through this really wonderful program called VA Calm. I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but shout out to my brilliant colleague, Greg Serpa, who started the program, Dr. Greg Serpa. Some of you may know him. And of course, the phenomenal Dr. Christiana Wolf, who also helped to develop that program. There was a partnership between the West LA VA and Inside LA that began in 2010. And it began with training practitioners in mindfulness. And I had always been really interested in mindfulness, but, I was busy and, I think whenever many of us are seekers, many of us are seekers. And I went the route of psychology to try to help myself and others with their pain, the pain that comes up from life. And yeah, I was interested in mindfulness and dabbled in it a little bit over the years. But once they brought in Christiana Wolf and also another practitioner, Wendy Schmelzer, came in and taught mindfulness. And Wendy taught us soothing touch, which is about bringing kind of soothing touch when we're triggered to ourselves and our awareness, and how we can use that to kind of balance our nervous system when, we're all tense and tight. And I remember at that time, I'd probably been a clinical psychologist for about 25 years. And I thought, why have I not learned this before? I mean, this is crazy. This is so important. Um, so that was my beginning into mindful self-compassion. And then, I decided that I wanted to become a trained teacher in it and offer it to veterans. I think Dr. Serpa, Greg Serpa, he was a trained teacher at that point, but there aren't many people nationally through the VA who were. And so that's when I decided to get trained. And through my training, I became much more involved in mindfulness and decided to become a certified mindfulness teacher, and the rest is history. But I want to do a little experiment right now. So I want you just to close your eyes for a moment and think about something challenging in your life. And not anything big, something small, but it generates a little bit of tension in your body, okay? So it could be something maybe you're nervous you need to take care of later today, or maybe you're worried about a parent or a child, a little bit, not a major issue, or just some tension. And I want you to take your hand and put it on your chest. You can even take two hands and put it on your chest. And as you're sitting with that little problem, that little challenge, I want you to breathe and feel the warmth of your hand, the warmth of that just kind of go into your body, okay? And just have the felt sense of that. Just noticing if that does anything for the tension. Or you can take your hands. Sometimes people like to cup their face, and you may notice that you do this automatically, that you use soothing touch automatically without even knowing it. Just noticing that, or you can give yourself like a little hug, noticing that, what that feels like. Or even putting a hand on your head, on your forehead. Sometimes you can cup the back of your head also. And you can experiment. You can experiment. And this is a practice, a mindful self-compassion practice that was, was developed by Christopher Germer and Kirsten Neff. And you can always call on this practice when it's just simple, when you are struggling. And I really found this to be a game changer in my life. Okay. And once I learned this practice, I was really hooked. I was really hooked. I had to learn more. So just a little, you can play with that. We're going to be doing a longer practice today. So you can play with soothing touch as we do it. You can also, when this call is over, you can experiment with that as well and just feel into it. So some of you may already be familiar with the Mindful Self-Compassion program, and it was developed by two psychologists, Dr. Kristen Neff and Dr. Chris Germer in the 2010s. And it really does help people learn to become more self-compassionate, even veterans who have a very hard time with this. They may have to take the program 3 times, but eventually they are able to bring more self-compassion to themselves. And they have shared with me that that has been life-changing for them. And there is considerable research showing a strong link between self-compassion and well-being, that there are increases in positive states like joy, tranquility, equanimity, better health and relationships, and also a link that it decreases some of our negative states like stress, depression, and anxiety. And I'm not going to get into all of that research because there's a ton of it. But if you want to look into it, there are thousands of studies on the web that you can access about it. So how does it work? How does mindful self-compassion work? And like I said, it's taught many ways. I generally teach it in a 9-week program, but we're going to do a practice today. And there are 3 main components of mindful self-compassion. The first is mindfulness, the second is common humanity, and the third is self-kindness. Okay. So mindfulness, the mindfulness piece is really important. Well, they're all really important, but the mindfulness piece is really important. Since self-compassion is something that we can rely on when we are in pain, both emotional or physical, we actually need to be mindful that we're experiencing pain in order to address that pain, and particularly address it in a way different than how we normally do. So we have to be aware that we are actually suffering in some way. Um, how do we usually deal with our pain? Well, I think we often try to push it away. How well does that work? Think about pushing a ball under the water, pushing it away, pushing it away. Well, eventually, when you relax a little bit, it explodes, right? And we can kind of do that with our feelings. We can try to avoid our pain through many, many ways, through basically avoiding through Netflix, binge watching Netflix, or other methods like addiction, drug abuse, retail therapy, you name it. The other thing we can do is we can ruminate over and over about our pain and over-identify with it. And MSC, or mindful self-compassion, I'm going to use the term MSC a lot. It encourages us to notice it, just notice it, not and holding it in our awareness without adding anything on. So that's the first component of mindful self-compassion. The second component is common humanity. And this is a concept, I think that's also incredibly helpful, that you are not alone in your suffering. The truth is that everyone suffers, not all the time, Life does not equal suffering. No, 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 no. But we all suffer at some point. It is part of life. And like the Buddha has taught us, life is full of 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. And that's true for all of us. But I think what happens when we suffer is that we have the tendency to hide and isolate when we have strong feelings, and that only makes us feel worse. Often when we feel shame, we're like, "Oh, I'm like just the worst person in the world, and I better not tell anyone." But the truth is, everyone feels shame. And by tapping into our common humanity, we don't have to isolate when we suffer. Our suffering actually connects us to others and to our humanity. And with, 8 billion people living across the world, on a day that you're feeling angry or sad or experiencing grief, there are likely millions of people around the world who are having similar feelings as you are. So by recognizing your common humanity, you can release the notion you're alone, and you can feel connected to other people who are likely going through very similar things. So that's the second concept. And the third concept is self-kindness. And that is learning how to be kind to ourselves. Um, and often that is similar to, like, perhaps treating yourself um, as you might treat another person when you're going through something. So when you're going through something, if your friend is going through something similar to what you're experiencing, how would you treat that friend, right? Do you treat yourself the same way? I know that I don't. Often when I'm suffering, I'm extremely critical and mean towards myself. I mean, who has called themselves like an idiot or a loser when you've made a mistake or failed a test or experienced a breakup? We did this beautiful practice on the retreat of writing about our inner critic. And we had 2 windows filled with little post-its about our things that our inner critic says to us. you know, and we all do this. And we can be our own worst enemies. And the Mindful Self-Compassion program provides tools that helps us change our approach and be much kinder to ourselves when we're in pain and respond to ourselves with self-compassion. So with each of those little self-critical comments, we didn't know who wrote what. We each went on the road and put a self-compassionate comment next to it. It was really beautiful. It was a really beautiful practice. Um, so why do we treat ourselves so critically and kind of meanly when we're suffering? And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. And then we're going to go into a practice. So according to Kristen Neff, we are so blended with ourselves that when something bad happens, we get triggered and we engage ourselves in a fight, flight, or freeze or fawn reaction. Okay, so our reptilian brain, that's our like very old part of our brain, reacts in this way into fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. You've probably heard about that with PTSD. So in fight, what we do is we criticize ourselves. So, yeah, so we criticize ourselves. In flight, we avoid. We shove our feelings away. And like I said, go into retail therapy, spend too much time on Amazon and other sites, or do many other things to avoid the pain. And the freeze response is related to rumination. We kind of get stuck in this thought loop pattern that just goes in circles and only increases our suffering, right? So that's the freeze that we do with ourselves. And then fawn, some of you might have not have heard of fawn, but what happens in fawn is an animal kind of plays dead or kind of makes it easy, like kind of lies down, so that the predator can attack them, kind of in the hope that maybe they won't attack them. And what we do in fawn is we try to appease ourselves. We try to fix it. We try to fix, figure out how we can fix what's going on. So yeah, so I tend to fall into that fawn category. And like I said, I'm gonna just tell one really quick story. And then we are going to move into self-compassion. So when I was on the teacher training for mindful self-compassion, there was a family member who often can get upset with me when I'm doing something that takes me away from them. Like if they need me, and I'm busy doing something else, they can become very unhappy. And they knew I was going to be away for 6 days, and they weren't happy about that. So I did call them. I tried to call them each day because that was just my practice. And when I called them, they were pretty critical of me. They were like, why are you doing this? I don't understand. I don't feel like you're available, and I'm sick and I need you. And then I started criticizing myself, like, yeah, I'm not available to this person. I'm not a good relative to this person, and then I went into fawn, trying to fix them. Well, what do you need? What can I give you? What did you call the doctor? And trying to fix it. And then I realized what I did is all of a sudden it occurred to me, this is a moment of suffering. So I became mindful that I was suffering. And I'm like, yeah, many people are in these kinds of relationships with somebody who is critical of them, especially when they're not available. So I got into the common humanity. And then the third thing is like, what do I need to do to take care of myself? And I'm like, hang up the telephone. So I'm like, you know what? I need to get back. I need to hang up. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And I was able to move on without ruminating, that ruminative pattern that I could get into. So in self-compassion, we are training ourselves to bring mindfulness and self-compassion to our challenging experiences, feeling, pain, relationship. And we become mindful that we're suffering. We realize we're not alone. We bring a soothing response to ourselves through touch and also vocalizations, soothing words and messages, maybe saying what I would say to a friend, but saying it to myself. And we do that not to make the problem go away, not even maybe to feel better, but because we are feeling bad, okay? Kind of like a parent who has a child who has the flu, that they might hold and caress the child and encourage them, tell them that they're feeling better or that they're sorry the child is feeling so bad. But they know that's not going to take the flu away. But they are doing it because the child feels bad, okay? And in that process, sometimes the child and we start to feel better. Okay, so I'm now going to move into practice. A lot of talking. Um, so I am going to invite you once again to get into a comfortable position, either sitting or lying down. Thank you. And maybe placing a hand or two over your heart in another soothing place. And as you come into practice, you can gently close your eyes or soften your gaze. And that hand over your heart is a reminder that not only are we bringing awareness to this present moment, but we're bringing a loving awareness to ourselves and our experience in this moment. Okay. And just beginning by taking in a few deep, relaxing breaths. And if you want to keep your hands there during the whole practice, feel free to do so. Or if you want them just to rest comfortably in your lap, you can place them there. Becoming aware of the sensations of breathing. Perhaps becoming aware of a coolness as you breathe in and a warmth as you breathe out. Allowing yourself to savor that coolness and that warmth as best you can. And noticing a sense of refreshment as you breathe in and a sense of relaxation as you breathe out. Just bringing awareness to all of the sensations of breathing in and breathing out. And whenever the mind wanders, just gently and kindly bringing awareness back to the sensations of breathing. Perhaps there are some pleasant sensations as you breathe in and you breathe out. Sense of nourishment and a sense of soothing. Or maybe not. And we're just being with whatever is there in this moment. Becoming curious about the sensations of breathing in and breathing out. And allowing the breath to be in its own natural rhythm. And noticing that rhythm if you wish. Even feeling caressed by that rhythm. Of breathing in and breathing out. Gently rocked by that rhythm. Breathing in and out like the ocean waves that come to the shore and then go back out to the sea. Even having a little bit of gratitude for the breath in this moment, which helps to keep us alive all day long and all night long without us even having to pay attention to it. Sending a little of compassion, a little gratitude to the lungs with the in-breath and releasing with the out-breath. And if there are some challenges with breathing, sending yourself some compassion for that. Now, focusing your attention entirely on the in-breath, just the in-breath. Letting yourself savor the sensations of breathing in and then just releasing your breath. Noticing once again how the body is nourished with the in-breath. And then just releasing the breath. And as you breathing in something you need right now. Perhaps a quality of warmth or kindness, compassion, courage, strength. And sending that to you, to yourself with the in-breath. It might come in the form of warmth or light or a wish or words or even an image like a heart. Just breathing in something good for yourself, something you need right now. A soothing message. A message of self-compassion. And just allowing that to ride into your being with the in-breath. Even a message like, I belong, or I'm here for myself. Or let me be a good friend to myself. Whatever words you need to hear, seeing if you can send those to yourself and receive them. Now, beginning to release the attention from the in-breath and focusing attention on the out-breath, the sensations of breathing out. And as you breathe, seeing if you can feel the ease of exhalation. Calling to mind someone you love or someone who is struggling right now in their lives and needs some love or compassion. Seeing if you can visualize this person in your mind's eye and begin directing your out breath to this person or beings. Could be a being as well. And offering this being the ease of breathing out. Or sending something else good to this being as you breathe out. Sending some warmth or compassion or courage or wishes for healing or health. Letting that ride on your out breath. If there's more than one person, you can send it to whomever needs it, or even out to a group of people that may need it right now. Sending those wishes outward. Sending that compassion outward. And now beginning to focus on the in-breath and the out-breath. Feeling your breath as you breathe in and sending some kindness and compassion to yourself with the in-breath. And feeling your breath as you breathe out and sending something good out to others with the out-breath. In for me and out for you. One for me and one for you. And even imagining this compassion almost like the infinity symbol, and breathing in the compassion for yourself, which then can fuel the compassion that you send out to others. And that good feeling can then fuel the compassion you can send to yourself, so that this compassion can be a limitless, boundless process, flow of compassion. Breathing in and breathing out. Limitless and boundless, like the sea that flows in and flows out. And just being with your own process for the next few moments until you hear the bell. Just beginning to bring a little bit of movement into the body, being aware of sensations and sounds. And even if you'd like to do a little self-compassionate stretch. Yeah, thank you for your practice today. I would love to open it up if anybody wanted to share what that was like for you, or unmute yourself, had any questions. Victoria, did you?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the practice. I've I'm not sure, I can't remember where, but I've I've done self-compassion practices before, and sometimes they start with mindfulness and sometimes they end with mindfulness. And I was just curious, um, the same components, the self-kindness and the universal, well, I forgot what the like official Kristen Neff term is. Um, that identifying that, that we're all part of the interbeing, the web of interbeing. And so I don't know if it's just was through some experience I had that was, doing it in a different order, but I was just curious about that. Thank you.
Curious. I'm
Oh,
curious
sorry,
about.
did you miss the whole question?
No, I think the question was like,
It was
um,
the mindful. Do we start with mindfulness to sort of settle and then reflect on the commonality and the self-kindness?
Yeah, I think because we have to be mindful that we're suffering
Right.
before we can kind of remember our common humanity, and then we can bring self-kindness to our experience. Yeah, I think we do need to start with mindfulness. It's a very good question. And a lot of times we're not so mindful of our suffering. We've already pushed it away. We're already doing something else. And it takes a moment to kind of remember, oh, actually, I was suffering. I'm suffering here. Like in that example, like I was already into trying to fix, when I recognized that I was suffering and that I could handle it in a very different way. Yeah. Yeah. So
Thank you too, by the way, for bringing in the fight, flight, fear, or fawn into this particular context. I've never heard those linked together before, but it's really, really helpful. So thank you for that too.
you're welcome. You're welcome. Anybody else? You could just unmute yourself.
Well, thank you, Sue. I was part of
Okay.
the retreat.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, and I know it's only been 3 days, but I feel like I already needed to go back to the practice. So I feel very happy that you were providing this opportunity today. Thank you.
Hmm. So good to see you. Really glad. I was thinking about you today, actually. I'm so glad you're here. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, thank you. It was really lovely to practice with all of you today.